Good morning. Today I'm going to be planting up some things that I got on a recent trip to several different garden centers. I had some specific plants I was looking for with some specific spots in mind, and today is just a great day to get them in the ground. It's super mild weather. We're in kind of a stretch of just mild 70-degree weather. It was actually pretty chilly this morning, so I haven't had to spend a lot of time watering, which should free up time to get rid of weeds and things like that, but I'm going to use it to get some planting done. So I have some sedum, I have some salvia, a few more annuals, and a hydrangea that I'd love to get in the ground. I don't know if I'm going to get all the way to that today, but I'm going to start with the sedum and I'll turn you around and show you where I'm working. Here's where I'm going to be starting out. I have two sedum here. I think I could probably just plant one here, and I may just do that. I think that's probably the more responsible choice to do. I actually got three, thinking I would fit three in here, but this little spot here was kind of deceiving. So this is a Sedum Autumn Joy. I believe it wasn't labeled, but I mean, it looks exactly like all the other Sedum Autumn Joy that I have in my gardens. This is really totally a staple plant for me here in my garden. I'm in zone 8B, Western Oregon, and it's very dependable. It's super water wise. It can grow, it likes full sun, but it can also grow in partial shade. It gets a little bit leggier if it gets too much shade. But I have this all over in my gardens. It's super easy to propagate. You can just even break off a tip of one of the stems and stick it into the ground, and it'll, start a new plant there. Or you can divide it. That's really easy too. So most of what I have around in my gardens are plants that I started that way, but these ones were huge and beautiful at the garden center that we went to, or one of the garden centers we went to the other day, relatively inexpensive. So I picked them up and know that there's pretty much always a spot that could use something such as this. Just a dependable plant that is honestly, as soon as it comes out of the ground in the spring with a little, a tuft of a floret on the ground, it's so sweet. And then all the way through till it blooms in the fall, and even the seed heads through the winter. I usually leave those on. It's just a really good plant for me. The deer do like it, so I tend to plant it in closer to the house so that they don't ruin it. But even if they do, they just nip off the tops, and then they tend to leave it alone, and then it's even more nice and compact. So I can't really complain too much about that. But I think I'm going to look at what this looks like with just one plant here, and I'll show you another spot where I'm going to be planting in one of the other three that I got. So from right here, we just swing around this garden bed and walk this way. See, next to this Sunshine Ligustrum, I think I'm going to plant this guy in right here. Not really sure exactly why that spot is so open. It just was, I guess, waiting for a sedum. And you can see then across the way here, there's another cluster of them right there. So I like how that bounces off of each other kind of along this walkway. Well, I think where I want it is right where that elbow is in the drip tube. So I have to do a little bit of work on that first, and then I will think I'm just going to plant in the one there. As you saw, I ended up going with 2. I felt like it just filled in the space pretty perfectly, and you know, if it gets overcrowded, I can always move one. And I don't know if you gathered what a ugly planting job that was. The soil that I was digging out was just so hard. It was so, it was just crumbly. It had no moisture in it. I don't know if the drip right there had been malfunctioning or what, but it just was so dry. The planting issues that I have in my gardens are admittedly my own fault. It's difficult to plant because things are already crowded. I mean, this is just what happens with an established garden. Everything's on a slant. There's rocks everywhere in the way, so planting can kind of be a little bit of a circus. But you know, got to do what I got to do. So anyway, got those 2 in, and I'm just going to turn the corner and get in the other sedum just along the walkway. I hope you guys got a good sense of how hard it is to dig in this bed. And I say that not to, like, you know, have anybody be like, oh, sad for you, it's so hard to dig in your bed. You know what I mean? It's not to get any sort of, like, you know, sympathy or anything like that, but I just want my videos to be, you know, to be real and to give you a real perspective and real idea of what it's like to garden in my garden, because I think a lot of us can watch videos on YouTube and think, oh man, it looks so easy to garden there. It's their soil is so nice, or their space is so ideal, or you know, whatever it might be. And in reality, I mean, it very well could be. I mean, that's totally logical that some people have amazing soil. They worked really hard for it. But it's also likely that a lot of us are really having to battle with our gardens and really having to battle to dig our holes and battle to keep our things watered and, you know, all the things. So, I mean, like with these beds here, they're really pretty established. So at this point, it's kind of hard to improve the soil. I can't, you know, I can't cover it with inches and inches of compost every year. And, I mean, I put mulch on, but still I don't know, the soil is still really difficult, and it's difficult, especially if it hasn't had rain in a long time. So anyway, we got it done. The little auger had a workout, and I had to plant the sedum a little high, you know, like I typically do, just so that it wouldn't sit in the water. You saw how the water was not draining all that quickly. So yeah, I that was just kind of a real look at how it is to plant here, and it's rarely easy. In my no dig beds, it's quite easy, and some spots in the gardens it's easier than others, but that area wasn't one of them. But anyway, the sedum's planted, and it's a pretty you know, strong plant that can probably handle the conditions that it's planted in. So anyway, yeah, moving on to the salvia. Profusion Salvia was not nearly as difficult to plant in as the sedum, probably because this soil is on the slope, and I don't know, it has probably better drainage because there's, you know, water coming down the hill and eventually settling down this direction. So that was much easier to dig in, and I just added in some biotone and a little bit of the premium garden soil, you know, compost mixture into the clay soil that it was here, and hopefully that helps with a little bit more of the water penetration as I'm watering. So the drip system is going now. I did pull out the little lower pedalum that was there. I'm thinking that as I pulled out the little drip line, the drip emitter, it was angled way away from it, really buried. I don't know if it wasn't, you know, getting to the little shrub or not, but it had perished, so it got pulled out and replaced with this pink Profusion Salvia, and hopefully it is much happier here in this space. I have several of these throughout the garden, and they seem to do really well for me here, so hopefully this one is no exception. So I think I'm going to put in a few little annuals. So here's the next spot that I'm going to be working on. I talked about it a little bit in a video recently, that I'm just going to cut back this lavender here that's kind of splayed out towards the front. It's not, you know, all that attractive from the front, so I think I'm just going to prune that back. And then I have 4 MiniVista Whites that I'm going to plant right along in that opening area. So that'll correspond with the snowdrift that's right there, and then the MiniVista White that's just right across the lawn right here. MiniVista Whites planted in with the others there. I have a very insistent dog right here that I throw his ball for him. You can see right here, this is the kind of row of the flowers. They look pretty close to the edge, and they very well may be, and I may just have to be pruning them back from the edge of the grass, but fortunately at this point in the season our grass isn't needing to be cut all that often, so I don't think we'll be having an issue there. So I do think that I'm going to be done planting for today. It's not the most fun, I know, to watch videos when they're filmed in full sun. It just makes it kind of hard to see. So I think I'll hold off on planting the hydrangea and doing that project until I have some better lighting. So in the meantime, thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.